Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Zoop Podcast, where we stream every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. You can find us on YouTube, on Facebook, doing that live stream. And if you are a fan of the audio version of this, check us out on Spotify and iTunes. You can find the episodes there. This week, we have a wonderful guest, someone that we have known in the Zoop family now for quite a while, back for his second campaign with us, Charlie Spider-Squirrel McElvy.
Hey.
How's it going, man?
Dude, so good to see you again. It has been way too long since we actually chatted like this, as opposed to just email stuff. So good to see you again.
For sure, same here. And I know that you're on the East Coast, we're on the West Coast. I said after this, I'm getting ready for dinner, but you're drinking energy drinks. You got a bunch to do tonight, it sounds like. So
I lied. It's not an energy drink. It's an ale, but whatever.
All right. But still, something that's going to keep you going all night.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot to do. Obviously, this campaign's the top priority for me to get this promoted and keep it going and keep it moving. Like the first one, really excited about Zoop and love working on the platform. So it's nice to be back with you guys again. And I've got a million other things going on too. Having a family and 15,000 projects going and all the other stuff is it's a never-ending thing. So.
Well, before we get to that, I do want to say that we have a QR code here on the screen. So for anyone who's listening who wants to back the campaign, support Charlie, check out that QR code. And Chance, if we have the link as well, the link should be in the show notes, in the description on YouTube, on the podcast feeds as well. So go to that link, check it out. I think it's zoop.gg/c/milestone2, the number 2. Okay. So go check that out. So as we mentioned, this is your second time back with us with Zoop. We funded milestone number 1. People who are going to check out this campaign can catch up. They could get still, is it copies or at least the digital of number 1? And then let's talk about what they could expect with number 2.
Yeah, no, good question. So we'll start with the first part. You can actually get number 1. We have limited quantities of several of the covers available. So if you look on, it's an add-on. Those are add-ons, not necessarily the reward tiers. So obviously back number 2, and then go grab number 1, even if you so you can start with number 2, even if you haven't grabbed number 1, and then you can go get any of the number 1 covers, including the Zoop exclusive, which I have just 15 left from the last campaign. So those were really popular the first time through, and I was really happy to run through 35 of those. So there's just 15 left, which is awesome. But
nice.
Yeah, and you can actually there is a digital, it's currently an add-on, probably ought to move it to a reward tier, but there is a digital catch-up where you can get 1 and 2 digitally. So we can work on that, but that's out there as well.
That's right. And I saw, speaking of all the variant covers, I have to say I love the Ben Morse cover.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Ben Morse, friend of Zoop, with his Scarlet Twilight campaign, and he's coming back also with August. But is this his first for hire work outside of his own stuff?
No, yeah, good question. He's done some other stuff. I don't know if it's been published yet.
Okay.
So the writer of the Milestone series for me, which has the title God Quest, and I can get into that later if you really want.
Yeah.
But Vito Del Santi has also there's a Stray cover. Hopefully that's not spoiling too much for Vito, but Ben has a Stray cover coming from Ben as well. So I don't think it's his first work for hire stuff, but it is probably one of the most high profile ones right now because it's out there live. So yeah,
it's beautiful. I love it.
It is, dude. It's so hot. When I got it, I was like, I hate to ask you this, Ben. Can you layer this so I can put it over the dress? I did not want to cover it with a cover dress. It's just one of those things. So he was super cool to work with. Fun fact. So for those of you who don't know, of course, Ben had Scarlet Twilight on Zoop before. August is coming in August. And August looked fantastic. We were actually on a stream together last night, Ben and I.
Oh, cool.
So he hosts one on Tuesday nights and I've been on the last 2 weeks. Ben's also working with me on another top secret project that'll launch in 2024. He'll be doing some plotting and scripting, but mostly the page work. So it's going to be a bigger work for hire for him. So it's going to be fun.
Nice, man. And this is not your first foray into crowdfunding. I mean, you came on our radar because we saw you had a number of successful campaigns over on Kickstarter. For Spider-Squirrel, you have Xion Studios. Give me a short history of Charlie McElvy in comics professionally.
Okay. Let's see the short version. So I was an American Ninja Warrior season 10. Had the name Spider-Squirrel given to me by a couple of kids. Well, they didn't give it to me, but they were.
Wait, what? How have I not known this?
You didn't know that? Oh my God.
Wait, so
Yeah.
how'd you do?
I came in 33rd. So I was in Miami. I came in 33rd out of 109. We actually arguably had the toughest competition. So I missed placing for the next night by 3 places, which really sucked, but it was really cool. Had a great impact on the producers. They really liked my energy, my enthusiasm, my ability to compete. So for actually the next 2 seasons, I went to various locations and did behind the scenes work for them. So I did a lot of course testing in Baltimore, Atlanta, Philadelphia that season. So it's been really fun. So I have a lot of friends on the show.
That's crazy, man. You must be like the most in shape comic book nerd of all time.
Yeah, and I turned 48 in August. So, I'm like,
good for you, man, because you don't look it.
Well, hopefully that'll stick for a little longer. But yeah, so I actually owned a gym for a little while. And while I was training, in fact, I was putting my montage together for the show. I was doing some stuff and just kind of pre-scripting. And a couple of kids, both named Alex, funny enough, were arguing. They were supposed to be training too and doing their own thing. And they were arguing over what I looked like. And one was like, hey, he looks like a spider, these long arms and long legs. And for those who don't know, I'm 6'3". And then the other Alex is like, no, he looks like a squirrel, just not as annoying, which is not true. I'm twice as annoying. But he was like pointing that out, and they legit were arguing, like that was getting heated. And I was like, guys, stop out. Look, I'll just be the spider squirrel. And it flew out of my face, and I go, holy biscuits, I've got something there. And so I made a logo and I printed it on my workout pants, and I made a t-shirt and the whole shebang, and that actually went on the show. And while I was prepping for the show, I actually designed the character with Ray Anthony Height. For those who don't know Ray does Midnight Tiger, which is it's currently at CEX and should be coming out soon. But Ray's a good friend of ours.
Yeah, same. Love Ray. One of the absolute nicest people, not just in comics, but that you'll ever meet.
Period. Yeah. No argument whatsoever. I love Ray. So Ray, if you're listening,
hi Ray.
Yeah. So Ray co-designed the Spider-Squirrel outfit with me, and had a lot of fun. And I finally, with Vito, assembled the logo, the chest emblem, and boom, there we are. And next thing you know, I started writing the story. So I started writing it while I was on the show, and then finished it out somewhere later. And eventually, 21, I guess, I published the first issue. And like you said, it was a huge success. It was over 200% funded. I did not expect 5 figures on my first campaign. I was super stoked, and got a lot of attention. And I was really just happy because people seem to be enjoying it. They love the kind of a throwback mentality. I don't get into too much of a serious thing. But for me, the bigger part of Spider-Squirrel that I think is really important isn't so much the character, although I love him, and he's our flagship character, but it gave me the chance to work with the community. And so for those of you who read Spider-Squirrel know that he bounced through the indie comics, multiverse. Unfortunately, I wrote that before Doctor Strange came out, but whatever.
They stole it.
Yeah, well, if only. I'd like that paycheck. He bounced through the indie comics verse, which gave me a chance to work with a lot of other creators in the community, highlight their characters in my book, and also gives me a chance to really work with other people and see. It educated me, which is great. So a little bit of selfishness, but from an altruistic perspective, I hope it gave a lot of those characters and creators a little bit of a spotlight where they might not have got it otherwise. So really happy about that.
And I think we have it available on this campaign as well. Is that another add-on? Spider-Squirrel?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, great. So we have 2 copies available, 2 covers available for the trade paperback, which collects issues 1, 2, and 3, as well as a whole bunch of all the covers, every cover that we did, including a couple of store exclusives, Kickstarter exclusives, and then some behind the scenes stuff. That's available. The trade paperback is available as an add-on. So once you pick your reward tier for issue 2 of Milestone, you can go back and add the Spider-Squirrel trade. The cool thing about the trade is that it features Milestone's first appearances, which was a cameo in the back of issue 2, and then a full story in issue 3. So what's up, Fish?
Nice. Getting some engagement, Charlie. Nice, man.
I love it.
Wait, so I have to ask.
Yeah.
You're casually dropping names like Vito Da Sante and Ray Anthony Height. what was your sort of entry into the professional side of comics? How did you connect with these guys to, help design your characters and everything like that?
That goes back a little further. I'll try to keep that a truncated story as well. But I wrote a book called The WatchGuard long time ago. Like I think I started writing it in 2007, and started working with a friend at the time, and professional artist Andy Smith. Andy had introduced me to Eric Larson of Savage Dragon fame. Eric and
I was gonna say, wasn't WatchGuard Todd Nauk?
that was Wild Guard.
Okay, I was close.
And that was honestly, it was like timing wise, it was so close. I was like, holy biscuit. So Todd and I have actually had conversations about it.
Sorry, go on.
No, it's a good question. So WatchGuard, and I only published the one issue, and it wasn't my best work. It's still available if you want to buy it. I appreciate you completists who absolutely insist on having it.
Dude, if you have any copies, throw them on as add-ons.
That's not a bad idea. I do have some, and in fact, I have a Ray cover for that. I started producing the WatchGuard, went through years of development and stuff like that, and then I finally got to the point of producing the comic book, and I'm paying for the pages, and I had Elmer Santos do the art. His colors are beautiful, and Andy's lines are super clean and sharp. And then I go, who the hell's going to buy this? Like that was actually the question I asked. Like, nobody's going to buy this. Nobody knows who I am. And Kickstarter was in its nascency, and so it really wasn't like this vast Kickstarter audience I could pull from like today, 15 years later. It was really a question I had to answer. And so I sat down and I mulled it over, and I happened to walk through a gaming store, and I just fumbled through, because they had comic books, and I fumbled through the comic section, and I kind of moseyed over, and I saw this book on an end cap, and I said, oh, Mutants and Masterminds, what's that? And they had it sealed, and it was like $35. And I was like, whatever, I'll buy it. I no idea what I'm gonna do with it, but I'll buy it because it looked kind of cool. The cover art was nice. Bought it, flipped through it, really enjoyed it. I thought it's a D20 based role-playing game system. It was OpenGL 1.0, I think. And they had a licensor program. So this is from Green Ronin Publishing. And I reached out to Green Ronin and I said, hey, can I be a licensor? Because you guys seem to have this license program. They said, oh, sure. You do these things and send us whatever, and we'll send you our logo and you can put it on your stuff. And I started doing that and started selling the characters individually for 99 cents digital download on DriveThruRPG. Well, I started building a fan base, and I realized, I've got something. Fast forward about 6 months or so, I collected a bunch of them that I had done already released digitally, but also a bunch that I hadn't released digitally. Commissioned a cover from Andy. I wrote every character's bio. I worked with a bunch of professionals, DT Butchino and just a whole, they're all in the credits, so I can't go through all their names, but a bunch of artists, Billy Dallas Patton and so forth. And all these guys put together great art pieces. I wrote all these bios. I had a couple of people like DT Sketch who put together some gaming scenarios for me. I had pinups. And I even hired a former Google Maps employee to design a city for me. I said, hey, I don't know what the heck a city needs. I know it needs a school and some sewage system and waste treatment and water treatment, and all this other stuff. So just here's what I want where, and then you figure the rest out. And he said, cool, dude. And so Jesse put that together for me. And so I actually have a Google Maps of a fake city of my creation in there. And then I compiled it and I put it on Amazon and I started selling it. Well, I was just trying to build an audience. Well, it ended up winning awards. So I got the attention of the publishers, like Green Ronin, and I started working with guys like Steve Kinson over there and Chris Pramis, John Lighthuser, who went over to WizKids eventually. And if you guys know HeroClix figures, that's
sure.
So I knew John from that. And it just started cascading. And then I kind of blossomed out, and that's how Vito found me. Incidentally, one of the artists that was in that book was Sean Isaacs. Now, if you guys are reading comics today, you know Sean's name from Green Arrow. And he did Fantastic Four, and he did Avengers and all kinds of other great books. Sean at the time was an unknown and he designed probably 30 characters with me.
Wow.
And so Sean's a brother from another mother who is also the father of a lot of our children. Proverbially speaking, folks.
Yeah, I like that though.
But Sean's a great dude. I love him to pieces, and we still work together occasionally when he has time. Which, by the way, there's something coming soon from Sean. That's how Vito found me, and we got to talking, and we found ourselves in common circles, and then Ray kind of fell into those common circles, and it just kind of went from there, and our friendships have blossomed ever since. So
it's so nuts. I mean, like, this is such a unique story. I've never heard a story like this about, like, this is how I broke into comics. But like, but what it all boils down to is you made the comic, right? Like that's what I always hear from people. Like, how do I break into comics? Make it, just create the thing, put it out there. And this is a great example of that. I mean, some of the people that you've been able to surround yourself with and work with and have the support of. I mean, it's a pretty cool story, man. I had no idea about all this. This is really cool.
Yeah, no, I'm really grateful. I feel fortunate to have gone through all the stuff I've gone through. I was on a panel, Pat Shannon and I have become, pretty good friends, socially, from social media perspective, but also in real life, and so Pat and myself and Anthony Stokes, who's got a book out now, he's, hey, Brad, those guys are other up and comers. Well, Pat's not an up and comer. Pat's a legend, for God's sake. That I've also been fortunate to come across because of just the way things work out. So to your point, I'm constantly astounded when I think about it. If I stop and slow down, I realize I've run across some really incredible people.
You're too damn likable, Charlie. You got to stop it.
It's funny. That actually can work to my detriment sometimes too. I actually had Carl Kessel email me. We were talking about tattoos, and Carl emails me. Of course, Carl's a legend, and I love Carl. And he's like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And so we were talking. But I've been very, very fortunate, and I'm thankful to work with you guys, and I love what we're doing. So.
And same. And I have some other questions, but I just want to kind of like hit pause for a second and say, discuss the campaign. Yeah. I know that we got started. I think the goal is either 4,000 or 4,500.
45. Yep.
Okay, we just cracked about 1,000. We could use some support. Charlie, the greatest guy in comics, aside from Ray Anthony Height, which we've established.
I'll take a second to Ray. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. But Charlie, great guy. Huge proponent of the crowdfunding scene, the crowdfunding community. We appreciate you coming over to Zoop because I know that you have other projects that are running on other places, and the fact that you are helping us, with the visibility and building Zoop, doesn't go unnoticed to us, so we are fans as well. But yeah, thinking of ways, right? I mean, like, we're in that sort of like hump right now, that middle ground, but we have a little ways to go here for sure. Things potentially, I mean, like, I think WatchGuard, if there's something there from WatchGuard that you could insert in.
I'm taking notes.
Well, has WatchGuard ever been a part or an add-on in like any of the Spider-Squirrel campaigns, or no?
Yeah. So at first I offered it as a stretch goal. And it sounds funny, but I was like, I'll just dump these copies, just kind of like, I had a bunch. I still had about 150 left over from the campaign from almost a decade ago that I just hadn't moved because honestly, I never took them to cons and stuff like that. It's not that I'm ashamed of the book, but it's definitely not my best piece. But at the same time, and Pat and I have talked about this too, like, sometimes you just got to show you got to show the crappy side of what you do too, because some people really enjoy it, and because you don't like it doesn't mean someone else doesn't. And that's the thing I started realizing, and so I have started recently adding it to my campaigns. I have folks who message me constantly going, "Hey, I don't have this, where can I buy it?"
Yeah, I'm sure there are people who support you that are completionists in that way, and
Yep. No, I appreciate that. And that's 100% with what, so I just took a note. I'll make sure I get that on Zoop. I'll email Eric later and be like, "Hey, dude."
Yeah. And I don't know, are there any of those original character designs or anything that's still left that you would be like, "Hey, let's put that up for sale"? Like, "Hey, see, Travis likes everything you do. See?"
Travis is biased. Don't listen to him. Love you, Trav. Yeah, no, it's a good question. I have a heart. So this is not a little known fact, but a lot of people ask me to put original art up for auction or sale or promotion and stuff. I have a hard time with that. So especially now that so few of my artists work traditionally, now I'm seeing a bigger value for my original art. So in fact, I have a pile over here to my left. You can't see an unpublished book that's coming next year.
Oh, damn.
I have the original art for, and I've debated on, do I want to part with some of these pages? So I do have some of those original character creations from Andy Smith, Kevin Sharp, guys who, kind of ghosted me for different reasons, but that's fine. But I also have I don't have any of Sean's original stuff, but Sean always worked digitally. So ever since,
I got
yeah,
you.
ever since I've known Sean, we've done digital work together. And
Gotcha.
he's in South Africa, so it was so much cleaner and easier to work digitally anyway.
For sure.
Yep.
Something else that I uncovered while just before this interview or this conversation, whatever you want to call it. I mean, this is just pretty casual, but I was on the the Baltimore Comic-Con website, and you are listed as a guest, as opposed to in Artist Alley or an exhibitor. Like, you are a guest of Baltimore Comic-Con, so that's a little pat on your back there, man. That's very cool.
Thanks. A lot of it goes back to the conversation we were having earlier about the people that I've run across, and Dean Haspel is pretty well known in the community, and Dean's phenomenal, great dude. I love Dean to pieces. Dean's created a character that is going to debut in a book that we're going to debut at Baltimore.
Hey.
And so he's created
breaking news. Woohoo!
I know, right? Yeah, there you go. So here's your exclusive. So there is it's a 6-page short, because the book that we're putting out, it's called the Spider-Squirrel and Trash Panda Titan Size Special. It's at least 80 pages long. It's going to be square bound because it's 80 pages. There's no sense in trying to staple this darn thing.
Sure.
It's going to bloom with stretch goals. It could bloom to as big as 106 pages, plus ads and stuff like that from other projects. So this is a big book, and it's neat because I do a 24-page new Spider-Squirrel story with him and Trash Panda. And then I have a bunch of anthological stories that are introductions to these characters that we're talking about that you haven't met before if you've never read the WatchGuard Sourcebook. The WatchGuard Sourcebook, you can buy it from me or you can buy it from Amazon. It's a gaming source book, but you can read it like an official handbook of the Marvel Universe, but for my universe.
Sure.
So
how many of these characters are still like untapped? And are you just continually pulling from that source book? Is that's the Xion verse?
Yes. So more breaking news. So like Travis Gibb, who is watching. Hey, Travis. Travis and I are in the negotiation stages of, it's more or less confirmed. We're going to do an official original graphic novel together. Hey. One of the characters that I actually started working on in 97, one of the first characters I ever created. And the only reason that book was never published was because all of my creators, all my art team got hired by CrossGen. If you guys are old enough to remember the CrossGen Comics thing, I lost literally my entire art team. Colorist, penciler, inker, letterer, they all went to CrossGen. You lucky me. And so that book never saw the light of day. Well, I decided it needs to come out, sort of. So Travis is going to take the reins. He has the characters' bios. And I didn't give him the original story that I wrote back in 97 because it deserves a better story. That was forever ago. It was 20 years ago. And I think Travis, what he's already drafted is fantastic. And so that character is going to show up and highlighted in an original graphic novel. Likewise, I'm working with another Travis Hill. We are negotiating a similar contract where he's going to take a series of characters from that source book that were never published outside of that source book, and they're all going to band together, and we're going to have kind of a Guardians of the Galaxy moment. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think you guys are going to love this book. It's going to be a blast off into the cosmos, and these characters are they're ridiculous and they're fun, and I think you're going to love them. So yeah, we've got a lot of this stuff coming. And there's yet another book that I'm negotiating now. I'm starting to talk to Kenny Aitken about. Kenny Aitken, who does Apex Cybernetic Owl. If you guys don't know Kenny's work,
that sounds awesome though.
It's really freaking cool. So go check it out. But Kenny he agreed just yesterday to do a graphic novel, like Travis and a few other folks, to do my 7 Ronin characters. So it's 7 Japanese samurai-ish mystical characters that I think you guys are going to really dig. And those have never been published outside of the source book either. So
you're incredibly busy here. And you're talking about contracts and hiring people. Is Xion a publisher? Are you guys do you consider Xion Studios a publisher at this point?
I think at this point it'd be foolish not to. So I do have an LLC for Xion Studios, and the contracts are now written with both my name and Xion Studios LLC in there. I do think I just talked about this last night to some friends. I was like, I think, look, I love Travis. I love Travis Hill. I love Kenny. We're all friends in social media, but my recommendation for everybody is if you're getting into comics and stuff like that, please work with contracts, because that, to me, that protects friendships. As long as you're all holding up your end of the contracts and you're very clear on what the language says, that's work. Friendships are separate. And so that's a great way to maintain relationships in the community, as long as you're living up to contracts. And there's a lot of crap out there right now with publishers.
Oh my God. Yeah. Wow.
It's huge. Right? And that actually is part of what triggered me to go, you know what? I really need to make sure that I protect not only myself and my IP, but really protecting the guys like Travis Gibb, who are writing for me, Anthony Stokes and Chris Moses, who are writing for me, Kenny Aitken, who looks to be writing for me, Benjamin Morse. Contracts, because I can protect them as well as my IP, and it means a lot.
Yeah. So where do you see Xion going? Because you're going to have a ton of properties, a ton of stories and books under your belt. What's the ultimate goal for Xion?
I don't know. Dean jokingly said, "You're like the Stan Lee of indie comics," and I don't know if that's true, but he was referring to my energy and just my like creative prolificness, and hopefully likability. But I don't know. Honestly, right now my biggest goal is I don't want to be an IP farm. I don't want to take other people's creations, bring them in, and then spit them out a whole lot. Now that being said, Scott Fogg did bring his Night Care book under the Xion banner, so I'm publishing Night Care for Scott, and so I'm managing all the production stuff, the budgeting, and the distribution of the book for Scott, where Scott manages to write and create his characters. He maintains, it's his IP. I have no ownership whatsoever. If he wanted to go to CEX or Mad Cave or Band of Bards and take his book, he is welcome to do so. There's no hooks there. I really want to take care of Scott, as both a friend and as a guy who I'm contractually obligated to help out. But I don't want to do a whole lot of that. I think it's safe to say, though, that you'll see Stray under the Xion banner.
Ooh, that's interesting.
So that's pretty much breaking news, I guess. Stray will no longer be produced by Action Lab, and all ongoing issues of Stray will be with the Xion header. So it's still Vito's book, though, and his IP.
That's pretty awesome. Just for the comics world in general, to know that IP got returned to its original owner, that's really cool. I have faith and hope that a lot of other Action Lab creators are going to get their IP back as well.
Yeah, and I don't want to badmouth Action Lab. I have no interaction with those guys and gals. I only know what I saw on social media, and didn't seem good, but there's two sides to every story, right?
We could talk offline, but
I don't want to get into that either.
Yeah. But it definitely, there's a warm feeling in the heart when you hear, oh, the creator got the rights back. I always like hearing that, regardless of scenarios or anything like that. Stray's a great addition. I agree, Brad.
Me too, Brad.
Yeah. So real quick, to people who are listening, back Charlie's latest campaign, Milestone number 2. You can catch up with Milestone number 1 as well. The link is going by. We have the QR code. Check out the link in the show notes, the descriptions, wherever you're watching or listening to this. And as we sort of wind this down as well, there we go. There's cover A. Hey,
Joey, look at you, man. Are you stalking me, brother? I love you.
This conversation has flown by so quickly, but we typically keep it fairly short. We're not going to go an hour here, Charlie. I know it's 9:30. Now we got some pages coming through, but as we're looking at these pages, I always ask the same kind of questions to people as we wrap up. First question is, what's your desert island run? If you were stuck on a desert island, what's that one book, one omnibus, or one collection that you would have to have with you?
Gosh, gun to my head right now, my gut is to say New Warriors Omnibus 1.
Oh, Charlie, how have we not connected on this? Oh my God.
Yeah, I love what Fabian and Mark and Derek did for that run. It was so good, and those characters. We just talked about this last night. Actually, it was funny enough. I just think it was one of those great runs that is almost almost timeless, because look at you with your Firestar. I can't, dude, and they finally are doing like Justice characters and and Speedball, and I can't believe it took them forever to do a Speedball.
I have a Speedball, dude. I mean, I only collect New Warriors stuff. You should see.
I had no idea,
Charlie.
dude.
Me neither, man. I didn't know that you were a New Warriors guy. That is like the formative book. Now we really may talk for another half an hour, but like.
So I do have a it's not a New Warriors homage, but it's certainly at least emotionally inspired by New Warriors book coming out that it may launch this year, and it may be here on Zoop. It's called Blue Chip and the New Teen Force 5, and that book has been in the works for quite a while. And it's funny because it says the new Teen Force 5, and people are like, "Where the hell's the old one?" That story is to be told too. Yeah, that's actually.
Hold on.
We're producing those simultaneously.
I'm going to show you something. So I was just at Heroes Con, and this. Look at all the New Warrior stuff that's literally just within arm's reach, right? So this is, I gotta unblur here. Well, yeah. So first appearance, but sitting at the tables next to each other. Sorry that it was blurred out. Was Ron Frenz and Tom DeFalco.
Friends,
both of them, and I was able to like have a moment with Tom DeFalco and be like, the characters that you created had such an impact on my life that, like, it's what I do, like it's very hard to explain. I feel sometimes to someone who they're looking at me, he's looking at me like you're just some stranger off the street.
What's a Zoop?
Yeah, we didn't even get into Zoop. Like it wasn't even that, but like some character that he created 35 years ago or something like that. Some team book like it. You don't think about this honestly, but like the book, The New Warriors, has affected my life so much. Not only in like my career choice, but like you take a look at like Namorita being the strongest member, Firestar being the most powerful member. You have a black billionaire who's the leader. And as a kid, I'm looking at all that and I don't see anything wrong with it.
And he rides
a skateboard. And I don't see anything wrong with it, And those things subconsciously, like, you look at that and you're like, yeah, women can be strong. Yeah. A black person can lead a team, or be rich. Like it
that's why I was saying, like, that book is timeless because it's hitting on things we call social justice today, but back then they were just doing it, right? And it's so relevant today. It's fantastic. Yeah.
But, and for some reason I just connected so much to that book in particular. I mean, look, that was the time of like Image and Valiant all coming out at that same X-Men 1, and Spider-Man 1, from McFarlane and Jim Lee and X-Force, and like for some reason out of all that, like the New Warriors was the book that just like broke through and stuck with me. I can't help it. Like,
absolutely. No, that was the book that I did not miss out on. If I had a budget, that book was first, and then everything else came after that. It didn't matter whether it was Youngblood #1 or whatever else.
I've met them all. I have a Speedball sketch from Mark Bagley. I have a couple of original pages. Like, I'm staring at my it's a CBCS. It's not CGC, but a 9.8 of
I love CBCS.
New Warriors #1. So I've all the Hasbro Legends figures that came out that are New Warriors related. I have so far. I got my Rage. I got my Night Thrasher. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I love CBCS. Awesome.
Because look at that. That'd be a Baltimore Comic-Con exclusive 9.8.
Damn. And signature series. Who could have signed that, I wonder?
Well, there's mine, there's my wife's because she's the associate editor, and there's Vito's. So it's triple
signed. Look at that, man. Dude.
So
that is pretty awesome. You don't see too many crowdfunded books going through the grading process.
I love doing it because I think fans seem to buy into it. The last Spider-Squirrel campaign I did a guaranteed 9.6 plus of 3 covers. So I have those movie parody covers that we have for all 3 issues. So there's a movie parody cover for issue 1, 2, and 3, and I collected 3 of them. And then I put that out there as a reward that I guarantee you'll get a 9.6 or higher, and it'll be signed by myself and the artist. And shipped them out, and I got a 9.9 back, which I did not give. I apologize, but that's it with me. And I got a couple of 9.8s, and the lowest one was actually a 9.6 of the ones I shipped out. So I gave the highest ones out to, except for the 9.9, to the backers who ordered that. So yeah, people like
Spider-Squirrel.
Yeah,
want to do something like that for Milestone?
I might. That's kind of why I pulled it out. I got to pile over there. I got to look at which ones. That 9.8 might have to stay with me, but we'll see.
I unblurred my.
There you go. I see now.
I think Ron Friends down there, Tom DeFalco up there.
I need to talk to Friends about doing a cover. I really want one. Vito's got one coming from Friends that's an homage to his own cover.
Joey, it's very smart to grade Kickstarter covers. If they ever get picked up, guarantee the Kickstarter covers are exclusive and low print.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. I have a strict order that I will not, my first printings are no more than in 2000. So that's, and that's pretty high. But
it's pretty high, but it's still low. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, yeah. No, that's very cool.
And then I've got the store exclusive covers that I do are only 200 copies. That's it. And so actually the store sold out of number 1. They're exclusive. Now we're looking at the second printing. So
nice, man.
But yeah, milestone number 2. So before we wrap,
I still have my one other final question.
Well, I will say that you really, if you haven't picked up God Quest number 1 with Milestone.
And explain the God Quest subtitle to Milestone. Yeah.
So I guess I'll say this is no legal issues whatsoever, but someone was concerned that maybe there'd be some confusion, and because a certain other publisher wanted to do a 30th anniversary thing after I had already put this book on crowdfunding, and so they asked me politely if we could make some adjustments, and I said, "What's in it for me?" It doesn't matter, but I said, hey, you know what? The title of the series was going to be God Quest anyway, and I think that has a bigger impact, and it is less confusing. I don't want people to buy the book thinking that it's some Warner Brothers property or something like that.
Sure.
The character was named for different reasons, but certainly the influence of Dwayne McDuffie and those guys from back in the 1990s hit me as a kid. And a collector and a reader. So there is definitely some homage to that in this character's creation, but the story itself and everything else has nothing to do with any of the characters from that series. So I said, I'll just use what I was going to use for the trade paperback anyway, and we'll just take that cover dress. So the nice thing is I already had the cover dress built for the trade. So for issue 1, we went ahead and kind of midstream flipped the covers, the cover trade the trade dress over to God Quest, but I've kept Milestone at the top because he's the character for it.
Gotcha.
So that's all it is to it. Nothing big, nothing
makes sense,
glorious, nothing glamorous, just a thing. And again, it's another way to say I could have said, I want to stick it to the big guy. But I'd rather say, let's just do the right thing, and also let's do the right thing by the fans. I want people to think that it's something that it's not.
Totally.
So, but issue 2 does introduce a character that you really ought to, even if you don't ever want to read number 1, you have to read number 2 and hang on to it because this character is not going to go away.
First appearance,
and he's going to be first appearance.
Hey now,
it's more than a cameo, and so it is a full first appearance, and this character is going to make. There's going to be reverberations throughout the Xion universe. So
see, that's a good sales pitch right there. I like it. Final question, Charlie. If you could work with any creator, alive or dead, who would it be? You're like, is it Fabian or is it Mark Bagley?
Yeah, well, I know, right? And those are 2 definitely on the list. I'm trying to think, just making sure I'm not overlooking somebody. So I've worked with Scott McDaniel. I loved Scott's run on Nightwing, and that was a huge influence. So Scott actually did 3 covers for me. So that's off the table and easy to cast aside.
I love how stumped you are by this.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's because I'm too nice. I don't want to forget somebody. Yeah, I would love to have. Joey Galvez.
Yeah. Duh.
I think I would absolutely love to have. I would man, I would kill for a Bagley, just a cover of Spider-Squirrel from Bagley. I think that would be just a dream come true. And if he decided to do a little bonus or put like a Night Thrasher billboard in the background or something, that'd be really cool, as long as I can still publish it. And yeah, I'd love to work with Fabian for sure. I think he's fantastic. I'd love to work with Carl Kessel. I think Carl, he and I have a great rapport, and I think he's got some really cool stuff with Impossible Jones. I love that book. It's a whole lot of fun. And if you guys aren't reading that, please go read that. But I'm kind of filling my my bucket list on my own pretty well.
That's cool.
I'm working with a lot of great young new creators that it's easy to look back to the past and say, I want to work with this person or this person. I'd love to have worked with Stan or Jack or, whatever, right? Everybody can say that. Or John Romita Sr. for that matter. JR would be a huge one on my bucket list, by the way.
Sure.
I would love to have, dude. But I'm really enjoying working with, guys like Travis Hill, guys like Anthony Stokes and Chris Moses, Vito, Dean Haspel. So I honestly feel like I'm living the best life ever right now. I don't know that I need to.
Awesome.
Yeah. So.
Well, then
maybe there's a cop out. I don't know.
No. I got it. Maybe one like bonus question then is like, who were your influences? Like who what were the books that you were like, oh, you saw that and it turned you into a fan, or you saw it and you're like, that's kind of what I want to do. Yeah, no, that's a lot easier. Fabian for sure. I loved the original Dark Hawk series. So yes. Yeah. What's up, Dean? Hey, brother. Speak of the devil, he shows up on the screen. Yeah, multiple shout outs this episode. I love it. But yeah, so Fabian would be great. I would absolutely. James DeMatteis is certainly an influence of mine. And Dan Jurgens by far and large. And Ron Mars. And Ron is a great gentleman. He's been super fun to work with. Just talking to, rather, we're not actually doing anything together, so don't take that the wrong way. Right. But those guys are definitely influences across the board. So love what they did. And Claremont. I mean, Claremont goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway because it's I actually passed him in GalaxyCon last year, and I looked at him. He looked at me, and he had nobody in line or anything, and I didn't say anything. I was like a stupid kid going, oh, yeah. And I walked away. it might be best, from what I hear, to leave that interaction as a, oh, yeah, one day maybe, and just leave it at that. Yeah. But but leaving this on a high note, come back, check out the campaign that's going on right now, zoop.gg/c/milestone, 2, milestone 2. There may be some new rewards coming or new add-ons coming. So check back. Even if you have already pledged, come on back and see if there's going to be something new for you. Again, Charlie, where can people find you on social media? Where can they reach out and say hi? Yeah, I'm super easy to find. I'm pretty much at Charlie McElvy everywhere, except for Instagram because of stupid whatevers. But you put a dot between my first and last name for Insta. You can also go to the Xion Studios on Twitter. Xion with an X, and follow us there, and I'll retweet stuff there. But my most accessible way is at Charlie McElvy for sure. You can also go to charliemckelvy.com or Xion Studios, again, Xion Studios plural.com, and you can either shop or read more about us. And I do publish a Substack too, so I'll actually be writing one hopefully today or tomorrow. All right. Well, we're going to leave it with that. And Joey's last comment: we love new rewards. We all love new rewards. We love Milestone. We love Charlie. Thank you for being on the show. Hearts to everybody. I haven't perfected that at all yet, but I have daughters. We do K-pop in our house, so I get it. All right. I think I got it. Love you too, Charlie. Thank you guys for checking out the episode, and we will catch you next time. Chance, take us out, man.